Hello, friends of Ludus. I'm Sergio Bravo, and today I welcome you to this Ludus, where I'll explain how we can use virtual reality to deliver in-person training guided by an instructor using Ludus's virtual reality. In other words, how we can use virtual reality to train one or several people at the same time in topics like safety, health, and emergencies. Want to learn how to do it? Well, let me put on the headset and I'll show you how it's done. First of all, we'll need some equipment, like the virtual reality headset, controllers, a computer with a Ludus access license, and proper lighting. If we're going to use the CPR simulation, we'll also need to connect the sensor-equipped mannequin. On the other hand, for fire extinguishing simulations, you don't need to use a physical extinguisher, although it's recommended because it adds more realism to the simulation experience. If the training is for a group, we'll also need a screen or projector with speakers so that the rest of the students can see and hear what's happening in the simulations and learn at the same time. It's also important to pay attention to the physical space where the training will take place. We need a space of about 4 square meters where the student and instructor can interact with the virtual reality setup. And if the training is for a group, we'll need another space where the students can sit and watch the screen or projection. Next, we'll connect the equipment, mark off the area to be used for virtual reality, and once we enter Ludus, we can start the training. In-person training led by an instructor can be either individual or group-based. Training is usually done individually when, due to scheduling or production reasons, group training isn't possible. An example would be if we can't train 3 maintenance workers at a factory at the same time because the department would be left unattended, so we schedule them for training in 3 different shifts. The main difference with group training is that there's no need to use a screen or projector, nor do you need space for other students to sit during the training. There are different ways to deliver training using virtual reality. Virtual reality is useful for explaining theoretical concepts in a more practical and hands-on way. For example, if we want to explain the different types of fires, extinguishing agents and their incompatibilities, specify the various mandatory markings on protective equipment, or if we're going to describe or show the different parts and movements of a forklift. It can also be used to carry out a preliminary practice or pre-practice in a training session. For example, before actually accessing a real height during training, we can expose students to a virtual height of 50 meters to determine if they have acrophobia and to psychologically prepare them for this type of environment. In addition, they can practice the procedure for safely accessing heights and learn the consequences of not applying it correctly or not choosing the right equipment through simulated falls from heights. Virtual reality can be part of the practice or the practice itself in some training sessions. One example would be learning to operate an overhead crane, which can be practiced during real hands-on training. While the real overhead crane is being used, another student can practice operating the virtual overhead crane. Another example would be performing CPR maneuvers using virtual reality, which allows for even more comprehensive practice and more possibilities than traditional training by introducing changes in the scenario, the option to use a defibrillator or not, having people around who stress out the student, the patient breathing agonally, and a wide range of situations so that the practical training covers the broadest possible spectrum of specific cases. Virtual reality can even be used as an exam or assessment tool. For example, after completing a training on postural ergonomics, we can use virtual reality to check if students have learned to identify risk situations that cause musculoskeletal disorders and how to address them. In addition, we can randomize the number and position of risks to change the test between students and set a maximum number of mistakes allowed to successfully complete the exam. During the training, in order for students to participate and practice, we will need to explain how to move and interact with virtual reality using the joystick and front trigger, put the headset and controllers on them, and guide them through the exercises. To allow more students to participate, we simply switch the headset from one person to another. As trainers, we will decide which simulations to use, how many students will do the exercises, and how much time we will dedicate to them based on the time available and the objectives to be achieved during the training. As an extra tip from Ludus, we recommend that you try to cause accidents. Sometimes we learn more from mistakes than from getting things right, don't we? Let them make mistakes, because in traditional training it's not safe, but in virtual training it is. Be innovative. Have the students wear the headset, but you can also put it on yourself to give explanations. Ask the rest of the students questions and create competition through contests to keep their attention. In short, virtual reality opens up many possibilities for us, and all of them help make our training sessions more practical and engaging. How about that? Did you find this content interesting? If you want to expand your knowledge, check out our blog, where we cover topics related to training, safety, health, technology, and more. And to stay up to date with all the latest news, take a look at our news page and follow us on social media. We've left the links below for you. Best regards, and see you next time.